Wise Guys Cooking. Frank Montiforte. Old World Sense. Written by Mike Colonna. Opening. DeSalvo. Back again by popular demand. He may not be a rocket scientist, but we love him anyway. With no further ado, let's welcome our favorite guest, Frank the Inventor Montiforte. Monty. Thanks, Frank. I'm happy to be here again. We've been inventing everything from toupees to shoe lifts for short guys. DeSalvo. What have you brought for us today? Monty. We're now creating designer toilet paper. It's a dirty business. But we decided to tackle it head on. DeSalvo. What do you call your new toilet paper brand? Monty. Our toilet paper is called Nugget Huggies or Skittle Wipes. Which name do you and Larry like the best? DeSalvo. I'm envisioning Nugget Huggies. Larry? Larry. I kind of like Skittle Wipes. It reminds me of those little brown chocolate Skittles. DeSalvo. I think you're going to go far with this new invention. Monty. Our goal is to be number one in the number two business. DeSalvo. That says a lot. Monty. We're thinking of a few brand names that will turn the TP business on its head. I'm excited about our different names for our products. How does Brown Forest, or Miracle Wipe sound? DeSalvo. Folks will be looking forward to going to the bathroom. Monty. Our specialty is toilet paper that is soft to the skin rather than that old sandpaper feel. DeSalvo. I'm told, haha, some of the toilet paper out there makes you feel you spent your time stripping furniture. Monty. Not only that, Frank, but scents and textures are very important. Women love perfumes, men love colognes. We will change the way folks look at toilet paper. Different fragrances from around the world is our goal. DeSalvo. I like the way you think. Monty. Some folks prefer lighting candles for the bathroom visits, others use incense. You're gonna love our fragrances. DeSalvo. You're keeping us in suspense. Monty. Frank, they're old world scents. DeSalvo. Let's see what you've got. Monty pulls out 5 different rolls of toilet paper. Monty. We have a scent from every country. Let's start with Spain. If you smell this roll, it will take you back to the bullfights. The smell of an outdoor stadium. DeSalvo. Bullfights? Monty. You'll love our designer scents from France. Frank smells the paper roll, hands it to Larry who does the same. DeSalvo. Wow, this does have a French smell. Monty. We call it the Ode de Paris. It has the smell of escargot and garlic. DeSalvo. You're right. Monty. Now try this, Frank. This scent will take you back to Rome. Our Italian scent smells like a cannoli. DeSalvo. Other Italian scents? Monty. Italians are noted for their fish. We have a bun roll that smells like calamari, another that smells like anchovies. DeSalvo. It's nice to have an Italian touch to your rolls. Monty. Our German bathroom rolls have a great odor. Bockwurst is one of our best sellers. DeSalvo. Toilet paper that smells like bockwurst. A novel idea. Monty. We've developing a wipe that will take Poland by storm. As you know, Polish toilet paper was pretty rough. I brought a sample. A sheet of sandpaper. DeSalvo. When we visited Poland, I remember the toilet paper was like sandpaper. Monty. We've taken care of that, Frank. Since we had to wean Polish folks off of their centuries-old toilet like sandpaper, we got a grade 2 toilet paper that has little bumps for a smoother feel. Larry. A smoother feel? What do you call it? It takes the grit of your visit to your favorite room. Monty. It's called Almost Velvet. DeSalvo. Almost Velvet. Monty. I could go on and on, Frank, but I've got to use your restroom. DeSalvo. Well, we hope your business takes off. I think our audience agrees. It will give you a reason to visit he bathroom more often. Let's hear for Frank the inventor Montiforte. We'll be right back. Monty takes the roll of TP off of DeSalvo's lap. Wise Guys Cooking. Mike Colonna 714-747-5670. Tony Pomponio. The Interview. Wise Guys Cooking Open. DeSalvo. Let's welcome our band leader Tony Pomponio. Tony. Frank, I'm happy to be here. DeSalvo. You were telling me your first big interview here, in this country, was a very interesting experience. Tony. After my first wife left me because I had no money, I tried to get a job with one of the guys my friend said was a big shot, and if I got the job it would pay a lot of money. DeSalvo. He was a big shot? What do you mean? Tony. What I mean is he was a businessman from the west side of Chicago and just got out of jail, but he said the charges against him were false and that he should have never done jail time. DeSalvo. What was he charged with? Tony. There was a rumor going around that he was smuggling accordions from Italy. I should have known better. DeSalvo. Accordions? Tony. He was a very dapper man, always dressed like he was going somewhere important, like a wedding or a funeral. DeSalvo. What was his name? Tony. I remember it was very unusual. Thinking, his name was Vito B. Flat Facchini. DeSalvo. Vito B. Flat Facchini? Tony. He seemed like a good guy, since you know I play the accordion and B flat is one of my favorite keys. DeSalvo. Go on. Tony. Well, we met in an Italian delicatessen on the south side. It was called Tony Viola's Deli. DeSalvo. Tony Viola's Deli. Tony. I never ate there before. I was very nervous. I figured this was my big break. I could get into the accordion business and make lots of money. DeSalvo. So what happened? Tony. Like I said, I was very nervous. So I needed to relax before B flat walked in. I went to the counter and bought some lifesavers. You know, the ones with the holes, so I popped one in my mouth and started to suck on one. I think it was white peppermint. DeSalvo. A white peppermint lifesaver? Tony. Just then B flat walks in and sees me at the table. This is my big chance, Frank. I'm going to break into big time accordion sales. DeSalvo. I didn't know there was a demand for accordions. Tony. Like I said, I was very nervous. So I introduced myself. If I recall, he had a white shirt with a black tie. Frank, I was very nervous. This was my first interview with someone who was considered a big shot. DeSalvo. So tell us what happened. Tony. Well, I think he liked me, but I think I made a big mistake. DeSalvo. What kind of mistake? Tony. Well, I told Vito B flat that I loved accordions, and I could help him with his business. DeSalvo. Go ahead. Tony. You know, Frank, how you get real nervous and sometime you talk too fast. While I was talking so fast, my tongue got caught between my upper front teeth. I tried to slow down, but it was too late. DeSalvo. I'm interested. What happened that was too late? Tony. I said I was talking so fast that my tongue got stuck in the lifesaver hole. As I tried to get it switched around in my mouth, it flew out like a rocket and landed on Vito B flat's beautiful black tie. DeSalvo. No. Tony. Yes. B flat looked at me, he looked at his beautiful black tie, then he looked at me again, and I looked at my lifesaver on his tie, and it began sliding down. DeSalvo. No, Tony, don't tell me. Tony. I'm telling you, Frank. The lifesaver slid down and left a big white streak on his tie. I thought I was dead meat. DeSalvo. Well, did you get the job? Tony. No, I didn't get the job. DeSalvo. Have you seen Vito B flat since then? Tony. You know, shortly after my lifesaver incident, I read the newspapers and there it was a headline, that a guy by the name of John No Nose DeFonzi was arrested for dumping Vito B. Flat's body in the Chicago River. DeSalvo. The Chicago River? Tony. Yay, Frank, they found him floating in the river with the black suit, a white shirt with a black tie. The coroner said the stain looked like someone had spit on lifesaver on his tie. Shrink Michael Dees and the Pope. Dees. Hey Ava, please send in my next patient. Hi Frank. What troubles you today? My record here indicates you have illusions that you're the Pope. Pope. Thank you. He gives Dees his blessing, returns the blessing with a fist pump. You know Doc, before I left the Vatican I had to get something off my chest. Dees. Well, why don't you start from the beginning? Pope. Okay, in the beginning I created the heavens and the earth. Dees. You created the heavens and the earth? Pope. Sometimes I think I'm God, then I think I'm the Pope. I think I've got a split personality. Dees. A split personality? Pope. When I go to a restaurant by myself, I ask for separate checks. Dees. You're a very popular Pope. Pope. I know. My sermon at the Vatican before I left was very uplifting. It was so good I got a kneeling ovation. Dees. How was your flight over from the Vatican? Pope. To tell you the truth, the flight over was very shaky. Somebody from the back of the plane yelled, "You're the Pope, do something religious," so I took up a collection. Dees. Why are you really here? I want to help. Pope. Honestly, I want to start dating again. Dees. But you're the Pope. Pope. I know, but I've been thinking about retiring lately. Dees. You know dating leads to marriage. Why would you want to get married? Pope. That's one way to know what hell is really like. Dees. Never thought about it that way. Pope. Are there older ladies looking for ex-popes? There's gotta be some women that are younger than my dentures. Dees. Are you sure you want to do this? Pope. Do you think it's too late for me to start looking? Dees. I have to look into how ex-popes left their chosen professions and remarried. Do you know of any? Pope. I know one retired 90-year-old Pope that started dating, finally got married to a woman the same age. They spent their honeymoon trying to get out of the car. Dees. Will you look like you've been working out and staying in shape? There could be hope. Pope. I try to stay in shape. At my age, weightlifting means standing up. Dees. You have to stay in shape. My recommendation is to walk as often as possible. If you ever needed a transplant or any type of replacement, I'm afraid they don't make your parts anymore. Pope. You know I'm so old I can remember that the Dead Sea wasn't dead, it was only sick. Dees. How do you look at old age? Pope. Well, old age means you've come a long way, baby, and you just run out of gas. Dees. It's a different world out there, Pope. If you plan to leave the clergy at your age, you better be prepared to make sure you're able to, take care of a woman's needs. Pope. Will I plan on making love almost every day? Almost Monday. Almost Tuesday. Almost Wednesday. Dees. Well, it's time wrap this up. Before you leave, I have a cat that just passed away. Pope. Cats? I don't think so. Dees. This cat was very special. Do you know of any churches in the area? Pope. The only church I think that can bury a cat is the Methodist church down the street. Dees. Question. I love this cat. Do I give the Methodist priest the envelope with $5,000 before or after the burial? Pope. $5,000? I can handle the burial. I didn't know the cat was Catholic. Dees. We'll talk. Pope. Thank you, Doc. Can't wait to see you at the burial. Dees. Thank you. Pope leaves. Eva, could you send in our next patient? Capilotto. Hello, Doc. One day I think I'm Ed McMahon, the next day I'm Foster Brooks. Wise guys cooking. Mike/Rocco Colonna 714-747-5670. Written by Chuck Gabrielle and Mike Colonna. Broken English Sketch. DeSalvo. Today we have a special guest from a well-known university that will teach us the art of how to interpret broken Italian to English. Welcome Professor Leonardo Malatesta. Professor Malatesta is wearing a black gown and a graduate tassel cap. Malatesta. Thank you Frank, Larry and you Frank, Montiforte. I'm a happy to be with yous guys. That's one of the words Italians from the East Coast use when addressing a bunch of people. DeSalvo. Yous guys, I remember that when we were kids. Malatesta. But Frank you have to point your finger at the pointy and emphasize the yous. DeSalvo. Like this, yous guys. Montiforte. Frank like this, Montiforte presses DeSalvo's cheeks together and Frank mouths yous. DeSalvo. Yous. Malatesta. Frank, another word that is mispronounced is ask me a question. DeSalvo. Larry and Frank Montiforte are guilty of that word. Malatesta. Let's see you say ask me Montiforte. Montiforte. Why am I the guinea pig here? Malatesta. Now that's another word that Italians are associated with. The word guinea. Montiforte. That's not a very nice word. As you know, one of the reasons Italians get what you call a bad rap is the misuse of the English language. Malatesta. After many years of frustration, our university has created a class for those that want to learn about broken English. DeSalvo. What's the class called? Malatesta. Talk like your Goomba. DeSalvo. Talk like your Goomba? Malatesta. You got a problem with dat Frank? DeSalvo. I was just asking. Malatesta. One of the many misconceptions, looking at Montiforte a teachable moment, is most Italians like Frank here, start of a sentence with the word ah. Montiforte. Ah you mean ah what's de matter for you? Malatesta. You hit the linguini right on the head Frank. For instance I'm a no feeling too good ah today. You see ah is combined to make the Italians look like shadrules. DeSalvo. Now that's a tricky word. Montiforte. Funny, my mother, God bless her soul, instead of saying vegetables, she would say vegetables. When I would get her mad, she would say, Frankie I'm gonna knock those marbles right out of your head. DeSalvo. Did she? Montiforte. Does it look like it? Capolotto. Do you want an honest answer? DeSalvo. Thanks for jumping in Larry. My dad would always mispronounce the word difficulty, he would say difficulty. Malatesta. Let's move on Frank. Another form of greeting an old friend is how's your face? That's a great question if you haven't seen the person in a long time. DeSalvo. What about sign language? Malatesta. If you're Sicilian and want to insult someone you take your thumb, place in the roof of your mouth, and flick it forward. You can get into a lot of trouble if the other person takes it the wrong way. Montiforte. I did that once, I forgot I had a mouthful of minestrone soup. Boy was that a mess. Malatesta. This is a gesture that is very dangerous. You place the wide of your hand inside your mouth with clenched teeth to the fingers, which expresses anger. This gesture does not work very well with false teeth. Malatesta shows Montiforte the gesture. DeSalvo and Capolotto follow suit. Montiforte. I saw a guy do that once and got so mad he bit off 2 fingers. Malatesta. There's a few others, like placing the back of your hand under your chin, showing the gesture, which means go forth and multiply. DeSalvo. Well thank you Professor, we've learned a lot, your name is very familiar, what does it mean? Malatesta. I've got a headache. Thanks for having me on your show. DeSalvo. We'll be back so stick around. Wise Guys Cooking. Mike Colonna. 714-747-5670. Professor Givianani. Larry Capellotto. Professor Luigi Linguini, a world-renowned lecturer from Bologna, Italy. He earned his PhD in Bologna and will start his U.S. college tour next week. He's volunteered to answer questions from the press. Let's welcome world-renowned Professor Luigi Linguini. Sits next to Larry Capellotto. Luigi, thank you, Mr. Capellotto. Reporter 1. Professor, why do you wear tennis shoes? Luigi. Why do I wear tennis shoes? That's 2 questions. Do I wear tennis shoes? The answer to that is yes. Why? That's a question philosophers have been pondering for centuries. You know, you can go a long way with a smile, you can go a lot farther with a smile and a gun. Those words haunt me every day. Reporter 2. Well said. Who is financing your lecture tour? Are they friends? Luigi. I always rely on my friends to support my lectures. I remind my students, borrow from your friends, and when they ain't got any more money, make new friends. Reporter 3. Have you met with local officials in the state of Illinois? Luigi. I've met with your former governor. His opinion is that your present governor is a crook. Reporter 1. Do you have faith in the American stock market? Yes, I'm a big believer in Wall Street and the stock market. My advice is when your IQ rises to 28, sell. Reporter 2. Professor, people either like you or hate you. What's your opinion? Luigi. I told my wife the other night everyone hates me. She said I was being ridiculous, everyone hasn't met me. Reporter 3. Do you subscribe to the old teacher adage? Luigi. My dear father Pasquale told me, son, an apple a day keeps anyone away, if you throw it hard enough. Luigi. Did you know I've always wondered, as intelligent people, of which I know you all are, we know the sound of 2 hands clapping, what's the sound of 1 hand clapping? Luigi. In this vast universe we live in, we are all problem solvers. I've been thinking, instead of calling the bathroom the John, try calling it the gym, that way you can say you're going to the gym every morning. Luigi. We are all into gadgets these days, iPhones, flash drives, and ladies that guide you when you're driving. I was driving bad the other day and the GPS lady says after 300 feet, stop, and let me out. Luigi. Thank you for being here to listen to my fantastic oration. I have a podcast on the Cartoon Network where I educate youngsters in the area of logic and or making sense out of nonsense. Remember, I before E, except in Budweiser, and another thing not to forget, without this great land of ours, we would all drown. Again, thank you for your ability to sit here and learn, and don't forget that behind every big man there's a big behind. Luigi. I will answer a few questions from our audience before I leave for a quick lunch. Yes, you sir. Question. Professor, how did you make out in the check kiting charge here in Chicago a few years back? Luigi. Well, as you know, my third wife, who is no longer with us, handled all of my finances, so I defer to her. Question. How many times have you been married? Luigi. Let's see, no more than 5 times. My wives all died of natural causes. Tina, number 1, died in an earthquake. Maria, wife 2, died in a hurricane. Josephine, number 3, died in a tidal wave. Marcella, number 4, died in a thunderstorm, and my 5th wife ran away with my best friend. Question. Have you traveled to the Middle East? Luigi. As a matter of fact, I studied in Tel Aviv, at their famous university Oy Vey. There we learned how the ancient Hebrews made brick for their walled cities out of matzah. I think that's enough, don't you? How do you get out of here? Frankie Big Cheese Montiforte. Wise Guys Cooking Mike Colonna. DeSalvo. Let's welcome Frankie the Big Cheese Montiforte. Montiforte. May the cheese be with you. DeSalvo. You know, Frank, you smell like a Caesar salad. Montiforte. It must be my new Parmigiano cologne. This cologne is made with the finest ingredients. DeSalvo. For the folks out there that don't know Frank, he's a world-famous inventor. Now he's invented a new cheese formula. Montiforte. This formula will change the way we look at climate change. DiSalvo. Can you share the ingredients? Montiforte. If you tell anyone, I'll have to kill you. DiSalvo unnerved with Montiforte's smell. DiSalvo. Count on me, I won't say a word. Montiforte. You may not know this, but the main ingredients used in cologne are water, alcohol and fragrance. My technicians are great at cutting the cheese. DiSalvo. Cutting the cheese? Montiforte. After they all cut the cheese. DiSalvo. Wait a minute, are you in the same room when they all cut the cheese? Montiforte. Sometimes I walk in, and after they cut the cheese I head for the nearest door. DiSalvo. I see. Montiforte. They take the cut cheese, put it in large test tubes, it swirls around like a DNA test, and you can smell which technician cut the best cheese. It's amazing how they do this without leaving the room. DiSalvo. Why would they have to leave the room? Montiforte. To ensure that this mixture of liquid and cheese are kept top secret, we never divulge which technician cut the cheese. So we all cut the cheese at the same exact moment. DiSalvo. That cut the cheese formula could be climate changer. Montiforte. The only folks that are skeptics are farmers. We're trying to figure out how cows can create one of our colognes when they cut the cheese. DiSalvo. What else has your cologne company invented? Montiforte. We have hair cream, face cream, underarm roll-on, we've even experimented with a cheese powder you can sprinkle in your shoes. DiSalvo. A face cream. Montiforte. I've got some right here, Frank. You rub it on and you immediately have a craving for a bowl of meatballs and spaghetti. DiSalvo. Sounds like a win-win situation, Frank. Montiforte. Just think, Frank, when you put your arm around your loved one, the odor sends her to the kitchen to cook up your favorite dish. DiSalvo. How's your shaving cream formula coming along? Montiforte. You're gonna love it, Frank. It's got a mozzarella smell to it. The ladies are going to fall in love when you shave with this creamy shaving cream. Your face is going to smell like a pepperoni pizza. DiSalvo. How can we order these hard-to-get colognes, underarm and these famous cheese creations you've invented? Montiforte. Got to our website. whocutdacheese.com, that's whocutdakeys.com. Spell it out, our operators are standing by. DiSalvo. Thank you, Frank, we'll be right back.